Tough one Saturday in Macomb, Illinois, as South Dakota drops a tough 38-34 decision to Western Illinois. And Coach Bob Nielson joins me now to talk a little bit more about that game, Bob. And this one, certainly a tale of two halves. You guys pretty well controlled that first half. You went in at the break up 17-7, but did it feel offensively anyway like maybe you left a little bit out there?
Oh, no doubt. We had a couple of opportunities in the second quarter there where we could have put more points on the board and knew that we had left some points. Came in at halftime, talked about the fact that we're going to have to go out and finish the football game, both offensively and defensively. And unfortunately, we had additional opportunities in the third quarter to put points on the board, and not doing that gave Western Illinois the window to get back into the football game.
Yeah, defensively in that first half, outside of that impressive first drive for Western Illinois, it was a really pretty solid half for you. Did you feel pretty good about where you were at on that side of the ball after two quarters?
Yeah, I think our scheme had matched up well with what they were trying to do. We knew they were going to try to run the football, try to be balanced. We knew we had to take away the run first, and had done a good job of that in the first half.
So obviously they got it going there in that third quarter a little bit offensively. They kept it going from that point forward. What did they do adjustment-wise? Anything that made them more successful against that scheme that you talked about in the second half?
Well, they decided to throw the ball a little bit more. They came out using some of the same formations, but throwing the ball more. Caught us a couple of times where we didn't react well to some of the motion stuff that they gave us, or a formational look. And as a result, created a couple of big play opportunities that allowed them to chunk some yards down the field instead of having to work their way down the field. And once they got the game close, certainly the momentum swung, and then we were in a battle.
Penalties were certainly an issue on Saturday. You had 14 of them total for the day. 9 of those did come in that second half, and some of them extended drives. Others just came at critical times. And unfortunately, this is something that you guys have been dealing with a little bit all season long as one of the more penalized teams in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. So that begs the question, how big of a concern is discipline? And if it is a concern, how is the best way to go about addressing it?
Yeah, the penalties Saturday were a combination of things. A combination of when you run 107 offensive plays, you're going to pick up a holding penalty. When a team's throwing the ball 50 sometimes, you're going to pick up a pass interference penalty. The penalties that hurt were the ones where we had the ball in their territory. We were in a position where we could put more points on the board, and we got ourselves backed up. There were 2 or 3 of those situations where there was an offensive hold or an offensive pass interference call. And certainly at the end, the unsportsmanlike conduct fouls and that we had, the 2 of them came at really bad times. One on the PAT, which as I said before we started the interview, it's hard for me to find that one on film. I just, sometimes I think when officials don't see the whole play, but at the same time it got called, and now all of a sudden it gave them really good field position to start their last drive.
On a more positive note, offensively a big day, 578 yards of total offense, but the running game, second time this year, they've gone over 300 yards. Kai Henry responsible for 145 of that. That was a career best for him. Overall, as you look at it, you're averaging about 180 yards per game on the ground now. That's about 60 better than it was a year ago. So how do you feel about where things are at with that part of the game, and just how much improvement you guys have been able to show in that department?
Well, we've moved the ball really well. The one thing that hasn't corresponded is points. With the amount that we've moved the football, we've left too many points on the table, and you look at the last 3 games, and certainly we've been tested defensively, and we've given up some points, we've given up some yards, but offensively we haven't taken advantage of all of our scoring situations. So I feel good about where we're at offensively and our ability to move the football, but we've got to take advantage of every opportunity.